Well, hello. Welcome to another makeup tutorial. I'm really shit, I'm sorry. But I finally decided 2 years after I got married to actually show you guys how I did my wedding makeup. I decided to do it myself, and I also did my only bridesmaid, maid of honor, my sister-in-law Michaela's makeup as well. I found that this was the most comfortable for me, and even though I had a trial with one of like my favorite makeup artists, it didn't work out. I decided to be like, well, fuck this. If anyone's gonna fuck it up, it's gonna be me. It's not gonna be someone else that I've paid to do it. So yeah, if you liked it, please keep watching. If not, well, I've already sworn too much, but you know, you can just get the fuck out of here. So the first thing that I did, as usual, I used the Mario Badescu facial spray. Ooh. Ew. And then I went in for my moisturizer, Mecca Cosmetica High Purpose Plumping Balm. And apologies in advance if you hear a barking or scratching doggy at the door or an overexcited quarantined husband of 3 weeks. He isn't my husband of 3 weeks, but he has been quarantined and stuck in the house for 3 weeks. That's that if you hear that. So it is important when you're doing something like bridal makeup that you don't really grab products that have SPF in it. Main reason is flashback. If you're kind of interested or curious as to know why that's important, then you can do a Google search. So once that's done, I went in with my only real foundation that I use, and I've been using for a really long time, is the Kryolan paint stick. This is like super heavy coverage. Chances are you've seen this before. Drag queens or theatre kind of makeup is generally what it is most well known for. The coverage is super high pigment. With this, I don't even need to use a concealer. I'm an NB1, which is a neutral beige #1, and just put it on like that, a little bit more. And I used to use a beauty blender, but now I've gone onto the Morphe blending sponge, and I've wet this, wrung it out as usual, and then I just go in with the NYX Dewy Finish spray. I found that this is a good dupe for the MAC Fix Plus. Dab that a few times, and then I just start to blend that in. So generally for makeups, for wedding, for bridal makeup, you want something that is going to stay literally all day, that isn't going to crease because you hug a lot of people. You don't want it kind of transferring onto people's suits or dresses or anything like that. Chances are, if you're like me, you probably cry a lot. Because of this foundation and how high coverage it is, I don't really use a concealer with it, so you can just kind of come along and correct anything, build it up where you need to, and then with blemishes like that are open because I've picked them, I'll just use my finger. Now next for concealer, the only reason I use concealer is because I did want the brightening effect rather than the kind of coverage. So I use the Tarte Shape Tape. This is the shade 8B in Porcelain Beige. The applicator is huge and a lot comes out, so just be careful, but basically just like that. And this does set really quickly as well. So I'm just going to use this flat foundation applicator to get it underneath. Kind of just sit under there and drag it out a little bit across. Then I use my sponge again in these places here, but not too much. This was personally what I wanted, obviously, for my wedding. So everyone's preferences are different. Then once that's set, I just go over my under eye and my hooded eyelid. Because they're hooded, they crease a lot, so I just give it a once over before I get a big fluffy Inglot brush, the Laura Mercier translucent powder, just to make sure that they're all kind of stuck and not moving anywhere. I just go under first in kind of the places that I really want to stay down, and then once that's done, I can go in here, up here. I get a sweat mustache when I'm doing the rest of my makeup, so I'll probably come in later and adhere more like powder to that to keep it going. And then I go in with my Morphe E41, which is a big fluffy brush. Just rub it in there. tap it off a little bit and set the rest of my face. I didn't do anything like cream contouring. I don't usually anyway. I did want to kind of stay looking like myself, just kind of like more beautiful. Like more beautiful than I already am, you know. And I like to kind of carve out my cheekbones first. I usually go over my cheekbones twice in my makeup process. I feel like I have a little bit more of an idea of what I'm doing if my cheekbones are there. My Shade and Light Kat Von D palette, and this is just fucked, like can you not? Wow. And I just use this crown brush. This is the light to medium palette, but I've used all the lights, so I go in with the medium and contour with quick swiping motions, going round and round, and then a little bit on my jawbone, under the chin, and then the other side. Sorry if this is awkward, my laptop's here to check, and then my mirror's here, and it's usually my mirror's in front, obviously, so I'm finding it a bit awkward. I'm not good at doing these, okay? I try, I'm not good at it, I'm trying my best, alright? Like I even got a fucking paper background for this, honestly. And then up in the forehead. By this time I actually had my hair already done and I had like a fringe, so I just had to like adventure under the fringe, I guess. But if you do have hair in your face, like a fringe, you don't really have to worry about it because, you know, you're not gonna see it. So, by the way, this was my bridal robe. Yeah, so I'll zoom yours in. Not a lot because I don't got a good lens, alright? It's just like the standard lens because a bitch is poor. So I just brush these up. Okay, so I use Dip Brow in Ebony. Everyone knows this, everyone's seen it. MAC 263. I like to use a thinner angled brush, one that I can kind of pinch on the back of my hand. I've gone through this in other tutorials, so I kind of started under here. So basically I just kind of underlined, pushed the product up, kind of light-handed. He is going off out there, Jesus. Pushing up. Then I went from about here and carved out my arch. Swipe down to kind of elongate the tail without it ending kind of clunky. And then you can go up the start of the brow and push up. I'm going to set them. So I use the Anastasia Clear Brow Setting Gel, but I have a high. That's how old it is. It's very old. It's really disgusting. It'd probably be more useful if I just spat in my fingers and run them through, to be honest. But I brushed them up. I kind of knew what I wanted. I wanted something natural, I guess. Like natural, but like hot natural. Like fucking beautiful natural. So I used the Soft Glam palette. Makes sense, right? And it looks like this, if you don't know, but most of you probably have it because it is like a really, it actually is a really good palette, I'm not gonna lie. Clean them in the mirror because I take care of my things. Oh, it's still got the plastic on it, what the fuck? It's like new. I'm using the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion in the shade Eden. This is really old, like I need to replace this as well. So we just go up in there, back with the blender. I'm going with that same big fluffy brush that I used to set my eyelids and the translucent powder, and I just use a tiny bit to set that eyeshadow. And I'm getting that mustache again. So it is a pretty basic eyeshadow look. I mean basic if you do makeup, I guess. I don't know what your idea of basic or advanced is, but for me this is like when I used to work in retail and used to have to look presentable to sell things. This is probably what I would wear a lot of the time. So I just use my Smashbox 10 fluffy brush. You want like a medium to large fluffy brush for the crease. And for the crease, I lied. The first shade that I use for my transition, always, is out of the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, and it's this one here. Boop, boop. And swirl around, get up in there. And then... Can you hear that? Let's see. In windscreen wiper motions. Just kind of back and forth. This is going to build up a base. You can kind of just put this all over the lid, but for me this is just what works best because of that hooded eye. And I'm just gonna pull that out towards the tail of my brow. So if you don't have transition shade, you can just use the shade that you use to contour with. I mean, that's essentially what we're doing, right? Fuck. Oh my god. I went into the black. This is why I don't do this shit. That is rough as fuck. I'm just pissed off. So I'm just going over this with foundation because I can't fucking deal with that, okay? Let's get rid of that palette, the devil palette, and go back to the soft glam. I'm gonna pick up Burnt Orange, which is this one here. This is a matte shade, and I'm gonna go in with 6SS, which is a medium fluffy brush, and just kind of tap off the excess because there is a bit of fallout with this one. Just going to lightly blend that through the crease where we put that first shade. I like to do my makeup with my eyes open. It gives me an idea of what it's going to look like when they're open and not when they're closed, because my eyes are hooded, so it doesn't matter what the fuck I do, if it doesn't look good while they're open, well then it doesn't look good. So gonna work that through. So this shade is just warming it up, so I'm just gonna continue. Whatever you do, you just want to try to keep the eyeshadow above this line here. Any kind of further down is gonna give the illusion that your eyes are droopy. Not even give the illusion, it's gonna look like your eyes are droopy. So let's not do that. This brush, which is like literally one of my favorite brushes ever, it's a NARS 12 brush. Can't get these in Australia, I don't think. Last time I tried to link it, I couldn't find it, but anyway. It's just a kind of small, fluffy brush, which is good for getting in creases and my hood, I guess. Next, I grabbed Sienna. So obviously this color palette is good for my eyes. Having blue eyes, blue and orange, opposite the color wheel, contrasting, warm toned, good. You can just switch these up with like a light, medium, dark shade and then a shimmer lid shade. So I'm gonna focus this one kind of here, more the outer V, and bring it out a little bit. I'm just building up colour, so I'm not dragging this colour all the way, just that outer V part, which is this section here. Keeping my eyes open as well. Going back in with that Inglot brush and diffusing those colours. Next, I'm going to get my Zoeva Luxe Crease 228. This is a big fluffy brush, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Orange Soda, which is the lightest matte shade in here, and just going to get it on the edge of my brush, tap off the excess, and I'm going to really lightly use this at the top in back and forth motions I like doing this to really diffuse that first transition shade. And then from here you can just kind of go back throughout those 4 shades that we've used and kind of try to balance how you want it to look. So naturally I'm going back in with that Sienna. Then with my Inglot brush, just going to diffuse the edges of that. So once those are looking okay, the next thing I'm going to do is get this kind of tapered crease brush. This is, I don't know the brand of this, okay, it's just a non-brand one, and I love it because I'm going to get in here and darken things up. I'm going to use Rustic, which is the next shade down. So we've kind of gone, whoop. I'm going to pack that in that outer V, and this is just going to deepen it up because I didn't wear a winged liner, so I still want to kind of have elongated eyes without having liner. I usually have a kind of towel sitting on my makeup bench and I run the brush across it to get rid of any excess in between shades or after I've used it, before I'm going to go back in and kind of blend more, if that makes sense. And then with my big Inglot eyelid brush, I guess, it's clean, no eyeshadow, just powder. Just going to blend that out. So the next thing was Pigment. Now look, I got married 2 years ago and I don't particularly remember exactly what pigment it was, although I have a really good guess which one it was actually. So I looked back at the photo and I did go darker in the crease. So before I put the pigment on, I am going to darken up the crease. Cypress Umber. This one here. And I'm going to use this NARS fluffy brush. And I am actually just going to go up a little bit with a light hand. So a majority of this look is basically crease work because the pigment on my lid is going to be the main event. Not at my wedding, that's me, but on my eyeball. Cool. Okay, now pigment. I used the Peaches Makeup Most Wanted. Ooh. So I would say that this is similar to the shade Melon pigment from MAC. So it is a light champagne gold, not too dark, and Peaches is really good. Like, I'm going to go in with a medium size flat shader brush. And it is unbranded. I actually got this from my makeup kit when I did my makeup course. And I'm just going to flatten some of the pigment on the brush and tap that little bit of excess off because pigment obviously is loose. And I'm gonna concentrate it on this part of my lid, otherwise known as the mobile lid. Mobile, car, drives, moves, yeah. So I'm just going to pat that on a little bit further above my crease so that when my eye is open, you can see it, because that is ideal, obviously. So I'm just going to go in with my Morphe M506 brush, which is a small shader brush. And I'm just going to use that really lightly to soften the edges and kind of bring that back in with a little bit of Cypress Umber on that NARS brush and darken it up again. I don't want the pigment to go over the matte. As much as I can avoid that, I will, because then you start to get a bit muddy. And then with a big Inglot fluffy brush, just going to blend that out. I'm going to hit up that pigment again and go in one more time. And I'm going to leave the inner corner. So that's what that looks like. Still a little bit unblended there, I guess. Doing your makeup for your own wedding is daunting, terrifying, whatever. I actually had a makeup trial. He was the only person I wanted to get my makeup done, and he came over, did the trial. It was amazing, but it wasn't me. So it is a bit daunting, but you do want to feel comfortable in yourself and what you look like. And I figured I didn't want to spend money, a lot of money, hiring him to come to Crown Hotel, do my makeup, and then have to worry about fixing it again, or kind of making small manipulations that make it feel more me. If you do allow enough time in the morning, which, you know, you're generally rushed getting ready for your wedding or whatever, you can always fix it up. And if there are small things like, you know, this is bothering you, chances are your photographer will be really good and will edit any bits of like makeup that just aren't sitting right, like lash bands, eyebrow hairs, so you don't have to worry too much, obviously. That's what you're paying them for. The next thing that I did was I highlighted my inner corner. So I'm going to do that. I'm pretty confident I used Kat Von D Thunderstruck eyeshadow. That is fucked. Okay, I'm going to use a smaller flat shader brush. Same thing, unbranded, sorry. I'm just going to use that on the inner corner. Now the next thing is the bottom of my eyes. I just go ahead and get that Urban Decay primer. Awkwardly just chuck it underneath. And then I just get my finger. And I'm gonna mirror what I did underneath, basically. So let me just check my phone to see the photo. I know that I did underneath, but I just want to double check how much I did it. Because nowadays I like to wear my lower eyeshadow like down here, roll it, so just a little bit. So I'm going to use this one. This is just a no brand synthetic brush. Hit up that first shade from this palette, the burnt orange. I'm just gonna smash it in there and just bring that all the way to here. And I'm not really careful with it because I'm gonna diffuse it, I guess. This is just to mimic the same colors. So once that's under, I'm going to get a smaller shader brush. This is tapered. This is the Morphe M139. And I'm going to go in with that first chocolate bar shade that I put down, which was called Mousse, the one that did me dirty at the start. I'm just gonna use this to start buffing underneath. I am dragging this shade a little bit further down, and I am avoiding hitting this inner part because I don't want to close my eyes up. You also want to link it obviously to the other eyeshadow. Now I'm going to use shader brush again, and I'm going to go in with Sienna, which was this more red toned eyeshadow. I'm going to bring it maybe about here, which is halfway. Just, ow! Another clean blending brush. And just, next are the darker shades. So Rustic on here. I'm gonna get that on the same flat shader brush, and I'm gonna work this in the outer third of my eye. Here. Sorry. Then I'm going to use a smaller flat shader brush. This is the Morphe R43. And I'm going to get into that Cypress umber, whatever, the darkest brown that we used, and hit that up there. Then I'm going to use that NARS fluffy brush, get off the excess. I usually just use my arm to do that. I'm going to blend those together, and as I blend this last shade together, I'm gonna start circling back up to connect the two. Then lastly, I'm gonna get that orange soda, this one here, with that big Zoeva crease brush, and I'm gonna run this like all the way down. This is quite far down. Link it back up, so like a triangle here. Next, what I did is I used a nude coloured eyeliner. Oh, I threw it out. So I'm going to get a round brush, and now I'm just going to use that Thunderstruck pigment. I'm gonna pack that shit on, really. I mean, I'm going for it here. And I'm just going to... So obviously you want a waterproof mascara because you're gonna cry. You could be crying happy tears, bad tears, I don't know. But I curl my lashes. So now I'm using a sample of the Extreme Lash Mascara by Hourglass because I'm cheap and I got it in a Beauty Loop box. I'm just gonna... For the lashes, I used the Eyelure brand, and I used their like Luxe range, and the... Where the fuck? I feel like I should just do wispies. I'm just gonna do Ardell Demi Wispies. Also, I got a 5-pack of these from Ulta in the US, and it cost like 17 Australian dollars for 5. And Priceline wanna fuck me for $18 for one pair. Not one eyelash, that would be funny. But for one pair, like, okay, I'll pay it because I don't have an option, but really, that's just fucking ridiculous. Once the eyeshadow is done, what I didn't do on my wedding day, but I probably should have, was add a thin kind of eyeliner. I used liquid liner by Essence. So this is the Super Precise eyeliner. It has a really fine tip. So I have the liquid eyeliner that I used, and I've put the lashes back on the container. And what I'm going to do is, in between the clumps of eyelashes on the band, there's the Invisalign or whatever the fuck they call it. So I'm literally just going to... Is this a... Okay, is this a demonstration? Yeah. I'm just going to kind of color in that invisible band, because I don't like, it's not invisible, it's a piece of plastic, let's be honest. Piss me off. And then you just let that dry. While that dries, I'm going to hit up my contour palette. Oh my fucking god, wow. I'm gonna hit up my contour palette again, and I'm gonna go back in and do the powder contouring. And I do like to go heavy in contour. I don't contour my nose because it's big, okay? That's not gonna do anything. Blush, I use out of my Kryolan Pro palette, it's disgusting. I use the eyeshadow called Timber, which is this middle one here, and it's just a neutral peach color. I'm gonna use my MAC 130 or 9, I don't know. Put that, layer that on and slightly above where I put that contour. And I also like to get a little bit and put it just on there to give me some warmth. Now I'm going to go back in and glue up my eyelashes. While I let that dry, I'm going to go in and highlight. I'm using the Becca Skin Perfector in Opal. This shit is legit, like legitimate. And I'm just gonna use my highlighting brush, which is a Real Techniques brush. And I'm gonna just start to highlight my cheeks. Oh my god, but I fucked up. I was meant to do... I skipped a step, but I'll go back to it. I use the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder, and this one is in Luminous Light. This one is actually a facial powder, not a highlighter. This, no matter how much powder I stuff on my face, this actually turns it down a notch and makes your skin look silky and smooth rather than you're wearing 5 kilos of makeup. So I'm just gonna get that everywhere there. I'm gonna highlight my brow bone, and I'm going to use Becca, the same one that I used for my cheekbones. I'm gonna push that with a small flat shader, as I was doing before I was rudely interrupted by my mistake. I do my lippy. Now, I use my NYX, that dewy finish spray that I used at the start for the sponge, away from my paper background. Now, this spray has not a fine mist. Like it's like they were like, let's do a fine mist, and then they were like, let's do the opposite. It's really big. So I use my Morphe setting spray, but I cannot find it. So instead I'm going to use the Urban Decay All Nighter and set that. So for lips, I used my all-time favorite lip shade, which is Celebrity Skin by Jeffree Star Cosmetics. Except I threw it out because it was like 4 years old, so we're not going to use that. When I do run out of Celebrity Skin, my next best one is the Stila All Day in shade Caramelo. It is slightly lighter. I think Celebrity Skin is nicer, but this is still good and it does stay. So it is a bit lighter, but it still works. So yeah, this is pretty much it. I'm going to do my hair, put my crown on, and yeah. This is like, apart from my husband, this is my favorite thing from my wedding. This is my Victoria Novak crown. This is the one thing I'll be passing down. I'm getting rid of my dress. I'm getting rid of everything else. No, I'll do my earrings first. I'll do my earrings first. And I also forgot one actually pretty important detail. I go in with a wet wipe, makeup wipe, and I actually just clean the makeup off my moons. Bitch, what the fuck? So, yeah, this is it, I guess. If you enjoyed this, let me know, because this is just, I say this at the end of every video, I'm not good at this shit. So I hope someone found it hopeful or whatever. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. But yeah, thank you.